Citadel game, the first game back at home after the tragedy. They end up winning in that. They don't win another game until they play the Citadel again in the first round of the tournament, and then they get knocked out by East Tennessee State. This is a team that has a few suspensions going on back when all that was going on with the untimely death and everything. And, their defense is just horrible, to be honest with you. And, I don't know how excited they are to play this game. Jeff's calling in right now. Hold on. Jeff needs to be. What's up, dude? I'm doing a show. All right, that's all right. We're live. Check us out. Just about. Yeah. Hold on. Let me.
Check in. I didn't have a show today, so you gotta check in. What's up, Pete?
What's up, everybody? They can hear you. What do you like tonight? Before I let you go.
Yeah, real quick. That's actually what I was gonna ask you. You and I talk about once a day. Always talk about what we like. I'll tell you what. That IPFW line's going down, and while it pains me to bet against them, I think that's the right play tonight. I don't know. Something tells me they're not going to be able to match up with an elite defense like that.
Yeah, we'll see. But, give me a call back in like 45 minutes. We'll talk. Let me get through
I will,
this.
buddy. I'm looking forward to listening later, so we'll talk to you later.
Sounds good. All right, bud. Yeah, so first of all, the San Diego State game, we'll get into that. But the Mercer thing, back to the Mercer real quick. Fading the hell out of them and being profitable with it at the same time. Now, Coastal Carolina, they had some injuries. They lost to Gardner-Webb in a heartbreaking loss, but solid team. I like them. There's a good reason why they're laying 5. Don't get sucked into playing Mercer. Plus the 5.5. We'll see. Coastal Carolina can play good D. I get that. They haven't covered one game this year, but they were winning those games that were lined. They're 0-3. San Diego State, IPFW, 2 of my favorite teams. If you haven't been paying attention with what I give out, and it's, you know what, I'm not going to do it. I've mentioned it. If you know what we do in every single San Diego State game, then, it's ridiculous. All right? It really is. I gave it out on Jeff's show once. I don't talk about it a lot. But if you play, whoever's playing San Diego State in the second half, you play the team total under, you've been doing well. 14 out of the last 15 hit. And overall for the year, it's ridiculous. The percentage, well over 70%. This one, though, how much effort are you going to get out of San Diego State? That's the question. And what you need with that particular bet is you need to grind it out second half where, obviously they don't let up a lot of points. And are they going to be motivated enough to do that? They got snubbed. I don't know, they're used to playing in the tournament. Do they really want to play this game? And they're going to have an IPFW team that can run up and down on them, so it's going to be a tough one. Me personally, I would take a shot with IPFW on the money line. I'd take the points. And then in the second half, depending on how the game's going, I would take IPFW team total under to hedge my money line bet. As weird as that sounds, it's all over the place. Regardless, bottom line is, I think I like IPFW with the points, but with this system play with San Diego State, I'm still betting it regardless. Until, if I lose, I lose, but I can't not bet it because I bet it every single game this year. So regardless, that's that one. Before we get into any other ones we're looking at, or any other questions on that one? No. Okay, so where is my card tonight? Over there. All the totals, if you noticed in these games, and it happened last year. And if you remember last year in these small tournaments, they brought out they tried the 30-second shot clock. This is where it was first introduced. The line skyrocketed up. Everyone was all nervous. 70% of the games in those first 2 days went over. And again today, I think it's a little, the sky's falling type thing where you see every single one of these totals going up at least 3 or 4 points. It has a lot to do with the defensive effort, how much the effort period, how many teams really want to be there, who wants to prove a point because they got snubbed out of the tournament, who just doesn't care and wants to go home. You also got to look at the factor that a lot of these schools are on spring break and you're not going to get a lot of people there. Ohio State, they're on spring break, not a lot of people. You get the Florida game going up to Northern Florida. Northern Florida also on spring break, so you got to figure a lot of Florida fans will take the 40-mile trek up to North Florida and fill that building. De facto home game. That's why I'm sure they agreed to basically play it on their court, which is sort of cool if you think about it. But that's that. Bunch of other good games going on today. Just be careful on effort. Be careful on effort. I like the Alabama Creighton over. I do like that over. I like Washington laying the 8.5, 9 against Long Beach State. I just don't think they get it done, to be honest with you. I just think that Washington and Andrews, I love Andrews, probably blows the doors off of them. New Mexico State, another team that is disinterested in playing, believe you and me. And St. Mary's maybe have something to prove. It's a lot of points, though. Louisiana Monroe against Furman. We got a big client play in that one, and that will do it. So that's that. So now let's get into the tournament here. Oh, maybe you want a couple free hockey plays. Maybe take a shot on the Islanders tonight. We got a 2-unit play in hockey tonight that I'm not going to give out, but maybe take a shot with the Islanders there, and we'll go from there. So let's get into it. Let's get into the tournament here. Let's start out west, like I said, where you got Oregon playing against Holy Cross Southern, right? Depends on who wins that Holy Cross. And God bless Holy Cross, man. If you're a client of mine or you've been paying attention, we had them every game of that tournament. They were 0-9 on the road in conference, went out and won 4 straight road games. We were on everyone, on the money line, on against the spread, with futures with them. They made a ton of money for me. I was very happy. They very, very nice Holy Cross team. However, I don't know if they get by Southern. But obviously, Oregon waiting on deck. You talk about Holy Cross, 5th team to reach the tournament with at least 19 losses. Holy Cross, real slow team. They might... It's tough. They're a slow team, not a very good team. They play the 1-3-1. They didn't play the 1-3-1 until the tournament. They brought out the 1-3-1 defense for the tournament for the first time and had a lot of success with it. But I think Southern can break that. Southern led the SWAC in points per game, 3-point field goal percentage. They turned the ball over a lot, though, 16% of the time. So we'll see. That's not a lot. It is depending on who you. It was the best in the SWAC at 16%. They also beat Mississippi State and was 8-5 in non-conference play. But let's face it, they're not gonna take down Oregon, right? Let's get real on that one. St. Joe's, Cincinnati. That's a dog fight there. I mean, St. Joe's. The kid for St. Joe is Bembry. He's a pro. I forget Miles. He's shooting better than 60% effective field goal percentage. Then you get the lefty coming down the left wing, and Aaron Browns. He can make shots. Since he can defend and rebound. They should have won that game against UConn, but they didn't. Those are always dogfights, and this is another old school East Coast dogfight here. You could go either way with it. I think a lot of people like St. Joe's. In Brembry, I think Brembry's a kid that can carry a team, but Cincinnati's sneaky. You got to be careful with them. But I don't know. It's tough. It's tough to call. It's one of those where I can see a lot of people taking St. Joe's and that being the trendy pick to knock off Oregon because a lot of people don't know much about Oregon. But you guys tell me out there in the chat box, how many of you guys have Oregon leaving the tournament early in a quick second round bye? Because we all know 1 seed every year for the last 6 years didn't reach the Sweet 16. So. Or got knocked off in at least the Sweet 16 earlier. So which number 1 seed is going to be the one that gets knocked off? The other one you want to talk about here, Baylor. Baylor going into Yale. This is a men versus boys thing. You got a Yale team that's very good at rebounding, surprisingly, right? But they did it in the Ivy League, right? Now they're going up against probably the best rebounder in the country, right? Baylor averages 14 second chance points per game. That's the most in the Big 12. They outscore their opponents by almost 6 second chance points per game. That's the highest differentials among any major conference team. We talk about Rico Gathers. He rebounds almost 20% of his team's misses. Think about that. 20%, the highest offensive rebounding percentage in the nation. Yale, led by Ivy League Player of the Year Sears, very good rebounding team. But obviously Baylor, far better. It's a men versus boys thing. Best Gambler chimes in about that. He has Duke beating Oregon in the Sweet 16. Little typo there, I assume. But back into it. And I'm going to mix in here because as much as people hate Andrew Lang and Tully, I like these guys. I think they have a lot of good information, whether their pick is right or not, but it is. So I'm going to incorporate some of what they're talking about also into what we're saying. So Tully's talking about everyone looking for the 12 seeds to knock off 5 seeds, which is very common, but it didn't happen last year. This is Yale's first appearance since 1962. Bad team, just to be happy here type thing. Justin Sears, we talk about, legit player who could thrive in conference besides the Ivy League. You got to remember, guys, seriously, take this legitly seriously. Yale has their finals, right, before spring break. This is an academic school. These kids are studying to become the leaders of this country, lawyers. It's not like they're there to play basketball. If you don't know, the Ivy League doesn't give out sports scholarships. There are none. They don't let fifth-year seniors play. You go through this school and you're done. It's an academic school, and if you want to play sports, go right ahead. So very important this week that they get their studying in. Just something to think about. However, Baylor comes out, Big 12, pushing their pace. But Yale tries to slow it down. Might work for a little bit. Early game. Let me see. What time is this game? Because I think, is this the game that I was thinking about? I'm in the West. Where am I looking for? Baylor. 2:45 game. So it's not too bad. But, different contrasting styles of play. But we all know what should happen there. Next up. Don't you think Grayson Allen, Ingram, and Plumlee just as good as Nolan Smith? Yeah, they are. But the thing is, they have to play more minutes. And in the long run, yeah, they're good, but they're also going to be exhausted. You know what I'm saying? It's a tough one. You look at Duke, UNC, Wilmington. Duke seems a bit tired, like I said. But it should be more rested and refreshed against this Wilmington team. If you guys don't know, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, I guess I can get them. This is a Thursday game, I assume. Jeez. So many games. If you guys don't know the trends with Duke, okay, since the injuries and stuff, you want to talk about unders. They played NC State. This is going back to the start of the year, January, right? They played NC State 3 times. All of those games went over. They played Notre Dame twice. Both of those games went over. Every other game has gone under. We're talking, 10, 12 games. They've been an under team since. The totals are usually inflated in that one. But I think this is a situation where, okay, Duke comes in, and, if they get up big, they're 10-point favorites, they get up big or whatever, they're going to slow it down. They got to play 2 days later. They have to rest themselves. I think it contributes to the under, to be honest with you. That's just, I'm not just saying, you look at a Duke team has to avoid the fouls to get into foul trouble, obviously. And so doesn't UNC Wilmington, which tends to foul a ton. UNC Wilmington is good. Duke has been knocked off early, but let's face it, Duke should probably advance there. And could be a sleeper for some teams, right? One of the better games, exciting to watch this one, Texas at Northern Iowa. Both of these teams beat Carolina this year. Obviously, one real early, whatever. North Carolina beat Iowa State, too. Remember that? Then North Carolina was sort of disappeared for a while with injuries. They sort of came back. The Panthers are one of 6 teams, and the only mid-major out of this list with 2 wins against top 5